All right, so we're rolling here, Pat. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me in.
Your sidekick bailed on you.
Yeah, like I was saying, the more articulate one unfortunately couldn't make it, but hopefully I can fill in and do a decent job here.
Yeah, well, like I said before we started this, I have tons of questions regarding hockey and also just regarding the average Joe. The listeners here at the High Button, they're not all hockey guys. There's some people that are just like me that want to live a healthy every single day life. So I figure we mix and match a little bit of both, and hopefully we'll give the listeners a little bit of...
I think pretty much everyone that's a trainer at one point, started off with the average Joe, and then those guys who wanted to work with athletes, a lot of them, find their way to working in that direction, but it doesn't always happen. A lot of people, that I know that are still trainers, want to be working with athletes, but there's not a lot of, there's a lot of trainers and there's not a ton of high level athletes that are going to be
especially in this province.
Absolutely. Yeah. You'd only have a handful of professional athletes in the city or in the province. Right. So, but yet it seems like every trainer almost wants to be working with them, right? So,
well, I see a lot of guys like move to Toronto or they'll move out west because there's just more variety of athletes to train. So the fact that you get to do what you do here in this province, are you from here?
Yeah, no, I grew up in New Brunswick.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I've been in Nova Scotia for 10 plus years now.
Okay.
Because I went to St. FX after high school, and then I've lived in Halifax since. So I've basically been here for half my life and in New Brunswick for half my life. But
well, let's get into that. Let's give me your background a little bit, like schooling, where you all that.
Yeah, well, like I said, I grew up in Sackville, New Brunswick, just a small town, not too far outside of Moncton, and it's never really got into one sport myself too much. I was kind of good at a lot of different sports, but I never became really good at one sport because in Sackville you don't really do that. You just kind of play every sport, and unfortunately there's not, you have to go to Moncton to play at a really, at a higher level, which I did for some of my sports, but I just kind of played a little bit of everything, but wasn't good enough to make it in just one sport.
I see what you're saying.
And then I went to St. FX after graduating from high school. I went there for 4 years, did a science in kinesiology. Nice. And moved to Halifax immediately after that, and I've been here since. So
at what point did you know you wanted to be a trainer?
I was first certified when I would have been 19.
Okay.
So it's over 10 years now that I've been actually training people, even though I just turned 31. So I've been doing it a long time. Really started working with athletes, worked with a few at St. FX, but and then I kind of got into, I started working at Good Life after I graduated from St. FX, and I started working with a couple of athletes there.
At Good Life, sorry?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And actually in Dartmouth, and, I didn't really, I always wanted to work with athletes, but I knew going through Good Life, I was going to have to go through a lot of, just regular people that are trying to lose weight and get fit, which I was totally cool with and had a great time. But I did actually start training a couple of guys who, at the time, there was a guy named Ben Bro, who was the captain of the Quebec Ramparts, who did personal training with me at Good Life, which I don't think now a lot of athletes at that level are training at Good Life. I'm not really sure. I think most of them now are kind of specializing into sports conditioning facilities and stuff. So, but even back then, it was a little bit different. So I kind of got, my foot in the door a little bit through doing some stuff there, and then kind of, I guess, progressed from there. Yeah.
When you're working with I'm not calling them average Joes, but people that aren't athletes, do you kind of find it gets dull every now and then, like when you want to say push it, like let's go, you can't yell, you have to just kind of have a calm sense of voice?
Yeah, it's different. I think it depends on the trainer. Like for me, I'd say most of the time in my job, if anything, with a lot of these, the higher level hockey guys, I'm almost bringing them down a bit instead of motivating them and pushing them harder.
What do you mean?
It's kind of a mix. Like they want to go, but sometimes you almost have to dial them back a little bit, in the sense that, these guys grind for, however many games through a season, and then the off season, it's not always just about more is better, right? So we kind of, sometimes the guys, they'd probably want to come in every day of the week, a lot of them, if it was up to them, right? So you have to give them rest days and you have to give them recovery stuff. So that's different training athletes, because it's not always about pushing them, whereas
it's about recovery, maybe.
Yeah, whereas some of the the average population, usually they require a little bit more motivation, but a lot of the guys, if you're at the NHL level, you're not really lacking motivation, right? So
that must make your job so much more fun.
It's different. It makes it different. I don't mind, yelling and getting in people's face like that when training, but that's not really my style. So it's different. For these guys, it's more about educating them to get better rather than just pushing them harder and harder. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's always a time and a place to push them, but generally speaking, there's a pretty big difference between the average population person that's trying to weekend warrior trying to shed a few pounds versus somebody that's trying to get an NHL contract, right?
One thing I was thinking of before you came here, I was thinking of questions, was when I look at your guys' social media, I see that you guys train in a group of people, at least all the hockey guys. Do you find that helps because they battle against each other in the gym, and your job, you can kind of relax and just monitor it when you don't really have to push them like you just said, but they battle against each other? Do you find that helps at all?
Yep, I think it does. It can hurt in some ways too, because you might have a guy that's trying to do the same weight as another guy that probably shouldn't be doing that weight.
I see what you're saying.
Right, and then sometimes the ego gets involved, but we try to make sure that all the guys, you got to leave that at the door, because otherwise, you're going to get hurt or something's going to go wrong, and that's the last thing you want, right? My job is to make sure, first of all, that these guys, don't get hurt, and then they're getting better, right? So, but I would say it definitely, like if you looked at, I have something that I'll post this afternoon about the guys doing an agility drill, and definitely like when you see one guy going hard, you're going to go equally as hard. So they kind of feed off of each other for sure. And it definitely provides a little bit more of a, the environment, the atmosphere when you walk in the gym and you see 5 or 10 or 20 guys training at the same time that are all competing. It gets pretty intense, and definitely, it's a good working environment for sure.
Whenever I talk to siblings, when I was talking to Luke Green, we were talking about Matt Green, and that's what he said. He's like, growing up, the competitive edge in our household was ridiculous because we're just going at each other, trying to be better than one another. And look where they both are at now. And tomorrow I got Jill Saunier and Brennan Saunier coming on, and I'm excited to talk to them because that's a great hockey family, and they just battle with each other. So when I see your social media, and I see, even though they're not siblings, but they're like a close family for these 3 months that they're here, that's what I thought of right away.
Yeah. No, cool. You're right. It definitely, the group stuff is, it's a great way to do it. You just got to make sure that each guy is following, his own
regimen.
Kind of, so we have individual programs, but most of the workouts, like
individual programs.
Well, they are and they aren't. Like there's some things that some guys need to work on. So like, we've got a couple of guys that maybe are trying to put on a little bit of size. So maybe they're doing a little bit more, a few more reps, a few more sets, and they're, they might come in on a Saturday and do more like of a, bodybuilding style workout to try to,
well, it's Saturday. They're going to they might be going to the bar, so they got to lift. They got to look good.
There's always a few curls on Saturdays.
Are you guys in communication with the team's trainers? Like at the end of the year, let's say you got a guy that's playing for the Mooseheads, and you're talking to their trainer. It's like, okay, well, what was wrong with him this year? Do you guys? Is that a thing?
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the most important things about our job, I think, is making sure that, because I see these guys for 2 months, 3 months in the summer, but the other 9 months of the year they're playing hockey. So it's you have to collaborate with the other strength coaches, and I get calls from like we got a guy drafted to St. Louis, a guy drafted to Ottawa, a guy drafted to Winnipeg. Those guys, I guess organizations want to know what's going on with those guys during the summer, right?
So do scouts call you? Like do people from that organization give
the strength coaches, or I've talked to some of the GMs will tell the strength coaches, here's what we need. The strength coaches then talk to me about what they want to see from our guys. So like someone like Evan Fitzpatrick, for example, he's been told that he needs to work on certain parts of his game from the strength coach, and that when they go to development camp or whatever, that comes back to me. They might have certain things that they say, here's what we noticed. This is what we want him to work on. And of course, whatever I think he needs to work on doesn't matter. It's whatever the general manager or the strength coach from that organization, whatever they want to work on. That's essentially what will turn my focus onto, right? So
the fact that you're in communication with these guys.
Yeah. You build a relationship with some people who are, have pretty big names in the sport, right? So
One guy I want to talk about who's an absolute stud I hear is Drake, or not here, I know, Drake Batherson, Ottawa guy. What's he like in the gym? What's he like as a guy? I want to get him on here, but he's a busy guy right now.
Yeah, he's had a lot of stuff throughout the off season too, and I know now he just kind of, his probably just mindset is on training because he's had such a long season, and with the World Juniors and they went far into the playoffs and development camp, and a lot of stuff's been going on. So he's trying. I think he's trying to focus on the training. So he's been coming in regularly and putting in the work. So, but yeah, no, Drake's a great guy. I mean, he's a Valley boy. He's never going to change. He's just he's a humble guy, and he's just appreciates, one of the guys who appreciates all the small things, and he's just just a real stand-up guy. I would never say anything bad about Drake. And I know the guys like training around him too. Yeah. So yeah, all the guys like Drake. So
speaking of another guy we had on here was Alex Drover, and he's a young guy. Yeah. And, he wants to have a great year or a great career in the queue. Do you see him being a sponge in the gym all the time, learning from these other guys, asking questions of guys that are? Yeah. How many guys did you say you have in the queue right now? 30 something.
Yeah, there'd be about like 20 to 25.
So he must be a sponge, just asking questions left, right, and center.
Yeah, and that's Drover. I don't know if you interviewed him. You probably realize like he's just like he's very like he's in tune with everything. Right, he's he's got that personality of like he wants to get better. He's always asking questions, and if you can find Drake in the gym, you're gonna find Drover.
I love hearing that.
Drover won't go too far away. I think Drover's a big fan of Drake, which is a great person to look up to. But they're definitely. He's one of those guys. He's really keen, and he's got the right mindset for sure. He's one of those guys who really has dedicated himself and wants to get better. So
I love hearing that. I got to get over to the gym. Where are you guys located at?
We're in Duke Street in Bedford. So where the old CPA high school used to be, Maritime Dance Academy. We're right below. Oh yeah. So it's kind of what they call the Bedford Commons. So
okay.
It took me about 10-12 minutes maybe to get here, so you just hop on the 102 and it's
I want to come check it out. I was looking at some of your videos today on YouTube. It looks top of the line shit. Like, it looks awesome.
I mean, we were lucky to have I mean, the business model from the start was kind of like let's get everything that we need, and we'll make it into a top-notch facility, and that'll be a key way to try to attract other big name athletes, I guess, is to.
Well, that kind of leads into my second question, because the fitness world is in here in Nova Scotia. I really don't know much about it, but I feel like other people are trying to do what you do. Where do you think that your secret to success is coming? Like we just talked about some of the players that are working or in your stable, I guess. What do you think makes them come to you? If you don't want to give your secret away, you don't have to. But I just thought I don't know
if it's much of a secret, to be honest. I think it's just. I think it's the way you treat the people. Obviously, like, I think you need a couple of names to come in right from the start. Yeah. And then if you've got a couple of those names and you deliver a really good service, and the guys buy in, then in the hockey world especially, those guys talk, right? So if you do a good job with some guys, and help them get to the next level or progress, then. Those guys are going to talk, and they skate together, and they hang out together, they go drinking together, whatever it is that they do in their off time, they're talking. And I think that's been a big way. And sometimes you even have to ask for a little bit of help from some of those guys, right? And say, look, guys, if you think we're doing a good job here and you're happy with the results you're getting, it'd be great if you could tell your friends and get them involved, so that we can all kind of get in this, right? So I don't know if there's much of a secret. I think it's just like, make sure that you do your research, and you put in the time, and you're up to date with all the latest, training, and make sure that that you care about them getting better, because at the end of the day, if you don't really care about these guys, then they're going to see that, and they're not going to be, they don't care how nice the gym is. If they don't feel like you're invested in them, then
they're not going to be invested in you.
Yeah, basically. So, I ended up kind of getting things started with Luke and Matt Green. Those were two of my first, bigger name guys. And that just came through me. My family lives in, my mom lives in St. John, New Brunswick. So one day I went to looked up a place to see I want to know where the Sea Dogs trained, because I feel like that's if I can get in and meet these guys, then maybe I'll learn a thing or two, right? So I just walked into a gym there and talked to a guy who owned the gym that a lot of the Sea Dogs were training at.
Okay. And
just kind of had a great conversation with him. His name's Terry Blizzard. He's a friend of mine. I've known him for years now. And,
cool.
We share a few clients back and forth between the two cities, and he basically just we had a similar training philosophy and got along well. And he ended up basically telling Luke and Matt, who played for St. John at the time, that when they go back to Halifax, that they recommend that they train with me. So Luke and Matt came in with their father, and we just had a quick conversation, and the guys, I guess, liked what they heard. They liked the gym and kind of started out from there. And then those guys just kind of told their friends, and then we, put that stuff on our social media. And if those guys are training here, then kind of attracts other guys, I guess, and it kind of snowballs.
And
right?
It's crazy how that just came from you just taking the initiative. Hey, I'm going to go down and see the gym, see where the guys hang out. That's all that was. And now look, it just goes to show anyone that's listening, if you just want to use a little bit of initiative, take charge, and then look what happens. That's incredible.
Yeah. Just I didn't think I was doing anything special, right? I just was curious and kind of wanted to build a little bit of a relationship, or see if I could get to know this guy, because networking in what I do as an entrepreneur and as someone who's training hockey players and other athletes is just one of the something that everybody should be doing, and it's not hard to do, right? No. Anyone can do it.
It's simple.
Yeah.
Well, it's a little something like that can go a long way, and it has. Same thing with what I'm doing here. Like the networking I'm doing this summer has been ridiculous. Just meeting everyone. Yeah,
and it's hard not to get down or frustrated at times, because one conversation doesn't lead to, for me, a client the next day, right? It could be years down the road where I'm going to see that. So it takes a long time, but it's hard to not get discouraged. And sometimes you think, am I putting in all this work for nothing? And it's just. Yeah, you sometimes just got to trust that you're on the right path and kind of keep going, right?
You kind of get a feel for it. I don't know about you, but you just kind of, even if things aren't going your way, you just kind of know you're doing something right. I don't know if you ever get that feeling, but even though I know things aren't coming right now, like you just said, in a month, in a year, whatever it may be, it'll happen eventually. I want to talk outside the gym.
Yeah.
Training can get boring sometimes. It's just like if you eat chicken every day, you're not going to eat it every day. You got to spice it up a bit. So when you're at the gym and you're working out, I saw that you guys go to the beach and you guys do things outside of the gym. What's one of your favorite outside gym activities to train? It doesn't have to be the beach, but just anything.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, we use Rainbow Haven, the beach, quite often. We'll go to Citadel Hill and do some track workout, some hill workouts.
You ever run into Crosby at the hill?
No, I think some of the other guys that go there, one of my other coaches maybe has run into him, but I know like Brad Marchand was there.
Oh, was he?
When we went on
some of the guys
on Friday. So yeah, you'll see a handful of those guys working around the area. And then we'll go to the track in Sackville. There's a nice track at Metfield.
Okay.
So between those three places, it's the guys like it, because sometimes it is, like you said, it's nice to get outside of the gym. It's good. Like it's a good bonding thing. A lot of the guys kind of, they seem to enjoy it. It's a little bit more fun, because it can get a little monotonous in the gym, I guess. So when you get out there, it's kind of like you're free to run around, but at the same time, the guys know that they're going to get bagged if they're going to the beach, right? Because it's all the workouts outside of the gym. You don't really have much equipment, so they don't get to do their bench press and their bicep curls. Not that we do a ton of those, but it's more like. It's a
quick
little bit, it's a lot of conditioning. It's just a lot of reps, a lot of body weight stuff. So when we go to the hill, it's a lot of running up the hill. It's a lot of shuffles up the hill. It's piggybacks up the hill. It's wheelbarrows down the hill. It's, that kind of stuff that it's almost like a boot camp kind of workout.
Yeah.
But we do that one day a week, and that works well with our routine. We wouldn't do it every day.
What day of the week do you guys do it?
We do it on Friday, because it's usually, like I said, it's a bit of a bagger. The guys like to go and do something different on a Friday, and then they have Saturday, Sunday to recover.
Yeah.
Right. So if they're going through an intense workout Friday, that they get those 2 days to kind of recover, and then we go hard again on Monday. So
do you ever do the people go to PEI and they run like the sand dunes? Have you ever done that before? Apparently that's just like a bagger. You ever heard of that?
No, I've never heard of it. I've never done it, but there's definitely some benefit to doing stuff in the sand that people maybe don't realize.
Awesome.
But I mean, even just if you relate how sand works to skating on ice, obviously it's completely different. But the one thing that is similar would be if you look at someone, let's say like a basketball player or a soccer player, they're on hard ground and their contact time is very short. So if they're doing, if you're running on a basketball court, you're jumping and you're sprinting, your feet are not on the ground on making contact for a very long time. Whereas if you're on the ice, you push in a deep, like you're in a deep knee bend and your foot is on the ground making contact with the ice a lot longer than it would be if you were running on a basketball court, for example. Yeah. So on the beach, it's kind of similar, right? Because your foot digs into the sand and it kind of sits in the sand for a little longer. So it's good for hockey players because they need to develop that, I guess, like getting kind of sciencey here, but the impulse to push into the sand is similar to what they would have to do on the ice.
Interesting.
Right? Instead of it being springy, it's more
delayed.
Exactly. Yeah, there's more contact time, which relates well to what the guys do.
Have you ever seen, it's kind of off topic, but have you ever seen the documentary? I think Kevin Durant put it out with HBO about like 4 years ago. It was the first summer before he went to Golden State. Did you see that documentary?
Okay, no, I don't think so.
Anyways, he went to California for the summer to train with Westbrook. This is before he made the announcement to go to Golden State, so they were still friends. Anyways, they're in, I think they're in Santa Monica, and there's this crazy hill. It's this dune that's essentially like Citadel Hill, but all sand. And they're just sprinting up this thing through pylons. Anyways, I went to go see it. I somehow stumbled upon it when I was out in California, and I tried it. I could barely get up half of the thing.
You went there?
Oh, I went there. I didn't go there on purpose. I just was walking, and I was like, this is the place from the movie.
Wow.
Anyways, it was one of the most incredible things. Yeah. And there's athletes training there. I don't know. I thought it was cool.
Yeah. So you ran it yourself?
Well, I tried. I got halfway through it, and I just couldn't do it. I had to walk up the second half. You ever see those, like, videos on YouTube of people running up massive hills, but there's, like, rope on them? It's like, man, they do it in like Europe.
Like as resistance? Like they're running through resistance, or what?
No, it's like, I can't, like a cheese wheel, like when they throw the cheese wheel down the hill and people have to run down and get it, like one of those massive hills. Yeah. So it's essentially like that, but it's a race up this hill, and it's so steep and so long, and so they have to put rope on there because people can't run up it for so long, so they have to hold onto this rope to bring up. You never seen anything like that? Oh, there's some crazy things I've seen on hill sprints. Have you ever done any like CrossFit or what's the one in Halifax? It's like a mud race.
Oh, Mud Hero? Is that? Yeah. I haven't done any of those. I want to try. I'm just for show.
You're just for show.
Yeah, don't really do. No, I haven't got into any of that stuff. I think it's great. We were gonna do one just of all of our like our members at the gym one year, and I don't know, it just kind of fell through. But I'm sure eventually we'll get into doing some stuff like that. But
right on.
Yeah, I think they're. I think that stuff's cool.
All right, I want to get into some food here. I've been known from time to time not to be the healthiest eater. I want to see if I can get a nugget from you in the morning when I wake up. I don't always feel refreshed. What's your breakfast routine? What time do you work out in the morning? Do you work out in the morning right away, or do you work out in the afternoons?
I don't really. I'm more of a night guy. I typically will train in the evenings.
Is there a certain time to work out? Like people say working out in the morning is the best for you. Yeah. Is that true?
I think it depends on what you're training for, right? Like, I think for these hockey guys, for example, it's, they like to wake up not too early, grab breakfast, let digest, and then come in and train. 10 o'clock for most people is a great time, just because I don't know. I've from some of the reading and I guess education that I have, I know that, your testosterone levels are supposed to, for most guys, are supposed to peak late morning. So ideally, if that's a natural time that your body is capable of pushing yourself more and lifting heavier and moving faster or whatever, then that is an ideal time. And that just works out well with what we do because, we're training at 10 o'clock with a lot of these guys. So, that's kind of best case scenario. But I think it's for me, I can't push myself as hard at 10 a.m. as I could at 6 or 7 p.m. But that's just because that's my lifestyle. I'm not going to wake up earlier to train. I'm going to wake up and do whatever I got to do so that I make it to the gym a few minutes before training and get to work. Right. I can't make myself get up at 6 and train. I'm more of a night guy. So it's,
See, it's the opposite with me. I don't know if I can train at night because when I try to go to bed after, I can't sleep because my blood's just pumping. So like when I try to work out, like lunchtime, 1 o'clock, or do something, because I've done it before, and it's just I can't sleep at nighttime.
Yeah, I think for me, like anytime I'm playing hockey or soccer, it's 10, 9, 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm used to doing things in the evening, and that's just
routine.
My body. Yeah.
So what's the healthiest?
But yeah,
breakfast?
going to breakfast. I mean, mine is pretty similar every day, and I'm not like a lot of these guys or trainers or nutritionists who are super
strict,
regimented, I guess. Yeah, but at the same time, for my breakfast, I'm doing pretty much the same thing every day. And you could ask the guys in the gym, like they always see me show up with my smoothie in my hand. And
what kind of smoothie?
So what I do is every morning I'll have some oatmeal. Just some plain oatmeal with throw in some brown sugar, and then I'll mix up a smoothie. And I usually just put in usually some orange juice or almond milk, and then frozen berries, a banana, some flaxseed, some coconut oil, protein, and Greek yogurt.
What's flaxseed?
Just like little, like high fiber little seeds that
I don't know.
Yeah, chia seeds and flax seeds are good fats in those.
Okay.
So I'll mix those in, and just for me, I'm always trying to get more calories, whereas some people that are trying to lose weight want to obviously reduce calories, but for me, I have a tough time. I'm one of those guys who goes on vacation and loses weight.
Oh, you have a fast metabolism?
Yeah, fast metabolism, and I can't put on a lot of mass as easily as I could get ripped. I guess, for me, right? It's always a struggle for me to get enough food, but not eat a bunch of junk, right? So,
do you guys have one of those smoothie bars at your place?
No, we don't. It's funny, when I went to Toronto a few weeks ago, I went to a place that had a smoothie bar in there, and it was like, man, this is awesome. I would love to be able to do it. But the smoothie bar itself had 3 people working it the whole time, and they have 4 different refrigerators. They have a inventory of supplements and food and everything. So it's just like, this is too much, and we're not set up for that. As much as I think it would be beneficial to our members and our athletes, it's just I don't think, maybe in ProEdge 2.0, but I don't think in this one it's going to work.
Who knows? You guys could be the next Good Life. Get to Toronto one day.
Yeah, we'll see.
How many people do you guys have working for you there?
I guess we've got around 12 if you're counting part-time.
Okay.
Yeah, and then full-time we've got about 7.
Okay.
7 or 8. So it's not a tiny little shop, but at the same time it's not a big place.
So other clientele other than hockey players, who else are you working with, I guess?
Yeah, well, we have an athlete from pretty much every sport. Like if you can think of a sport now, I bet you we've got one of them.
Volleyball.
Yeah, we train an organization of volleyball that we've worked with for the last 4 years. So a lot of volleyball players. We have curlers. We have lacrosse. We have
lacrosse. That's my sport.
Swimmers. Yeah. We've got a handful of just about everything. We don't have a ton of. We work now with Ming basketball, which is really cool. We just started with them, so we do have some more basketball athletes in there, but there's not a lot of baseball. We don't have. I've trained a guy named Jaden who's just he's playing Division I in the States. He pitched for the junior national team.
Oh yeah.
But other than that, not a lot of baseball. I don't know if those guys are going elsewhere or they're just not training. But pretty much every sport is training now, right? And at a young age, right?
So each sport, obviously each sport is different. Do you have to come up with a different regimen for people that are playing other sports? Like someone different than hockey, obviously, is going to be training differently than a swimmer. So is that your job to go home at night and come up with a workout routine? Is that essentially where your expertise comes in?
It is, and and that's where I guess the one good thing about my background with sports was that, like I said, I was never good enough to get there in one sport, but at the same time, I played every sport at a fairly high level, so I'm pretty familiar with, like, if a golfer comes in, there's certain things to work on. But I did have, a couple of years ago, I worked with a couple of girls who were Irish dancers, and they came to get better at Irish dancing.
So what did you do?
And I asked the mom for some videos and some tips, and I was even going to go upstairs at the dance academy and watch them one day, and then I felt a little weird about doing that, so I didn't. But I did research the sport, and you know what?
Oh, it's a sport.
Yeah, well, it's dance. It's a sport.
Okay.
The girls move, they perform.
Okay.
There's a certain level of athleticism that they need. And if you did it for 5 minutes, I think you'd be out of breath. It looks tough. Definitely the stamina and the coordination that probably a lot of us don't have. But you know what? At every sport, you at starting out at a certain level, you're going to train the kids to be good athletes.
Yeah.
And then, once maybe they hit 15 or 16 and you can specialize, or they know they're going to specialize and turn into a hockey player. Like if you get drafted to Q, it's okay. It's time. I'm gonna put all my eggs in one basket and I'm gonna train for hockey.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm not going to train an 8-year-old to become a hockey star. It's more like, okay, we're gonna make him an athlete first. And then, as he gets better and better and grows and learns how to train, maybe we can specify things a little bit, but we're never going to start out by training somebody just for their sport at a young age like that.
Do you find at the younger age that the attention span of these kids isn't so much there, with how people talk and how younger kids don't have the attention span because they're on their phone, iPad, laptop? Do you find that at all in the gym when you're training these kids?
Yeah, it's a good question because, you hear so many things of people in my generation or older saying, kids these days, and it's, they don't listen, and they've all got some type of learning disability, whether it's ADHD or whatever. I don't know. I don't see a lot of that because a lot of the guys I think that we're working with are at a pretty high level, and I think they're pretty focused. Very rarely will we see somebody in the gym with a kid with their phone on texting or Snapchatting or whatever. I think because they know they're not allowed.
Okay.
They know they'll get
got a
called
no phone
out.
Policy.
You know what? I don't even think I really say no phones. It's just they come in, they put their phones in their locker, and we go. And like I said, every once in a while it might happen, and you might have to call them out. But most of the guys are pretty good.
That's good.
It's just like going to practice, right? You're not going to bring your phone on the bench with you and send a couple of Snapchats in between shifts, right?
Yeah, that's true. I guess
it doesn't happen much. So I think that they kind of treat it the same way, and that's the way it should be looked at for sure. But
the more I talk to coaches, like honestly, because I'm not in the industry that you're in, the coaching or the fitness or anything like that, and I always have the speculation of kids don't have the attention span, but I get the same answer from hockey coaches that you just gave. It's like, no, it's not a problem. Everyone wants to learn.
I don't know.
It's a big
that's why people are easy to say, kids in today's world are
but it's mainstream media. I find that's saying that.
And I don't know, maybe it's a little bit different. I think we're lucky that we get to work. A lot of the kids that we get to work with they want to come into the gym, and as an athlete, I think you have. And this is why sports are great for kids, right? It teaches you a little bit of, I don't know, discipline and some other benefits that come along with playing in a team or individual sport. Is that you learn certain, things that are going to help you in
the long run,
right? So, but no, I guess there's a lot of kids that we're working with who. Yeah, you would never see that kind of behavior from. I mean, there's always going to be a handful in each group, but I don't think it's as bad as from my experience, is what a lot of people might make it out to be.
Yeah.
Maybe it's different if you were a teacher, you might get a different answer because a lot of but who wasn't a shithead in school, right?
Exactly.
I would have been the same way, and I know a lot of my friends were the same way. So I don't know if much has changed, right?
I don't think it has.
Yeah. No, we see a lot of great kids, so I would never. Yeah, I can't say anything bad about that.
Right on, man. I want to ask, what do you think is the most rewarding part about your job?
Good question.
Because you're definitely touching a lot of people's lives. Working out is definitely not the most ideal thing for people, and people get nervous when they go into a gym and they don't know what they're doing. It's definitely, obviously you and I were more of athletic individuals, but people that aren't and want to get into shape, it's a tough thing for a lot of people. Mental health comes into play as well with it. So, like I said, you're touching a lot of people's lives. What do you think is the best part about waking up being you?
Yeah, well, I know we've talked a lot about the athlete side of things, but a big part of our business is just is working with the general population, right? So I think in terms of that, one of the most rewarding or satisfying things, it might sound a little bit weird, but seeing two people that didn't know each other come into the gym, do a class together, and become friends.
That's a great answer.
And build a relationship. That, for some reason, I guess, is really satisfying to me to see, two people come from a separate part of the city and a separate path in life, come into this one gym to have, that's all they have in common. Build a relationship and become friends, and hang out on the weekend and do things, right? That's kind of, I don't know, that's really rewarding for me. I think that's one thing. Whereas on the athlete side of things, it's obviously seeing someone kind of get to that next level because of the training, right?
Yeah.
So many kids work so hard. Sometimes they might even, have been working hard in the past, but they might just need to be doing different or the right things, not necessarily working harder, that can make a difference in their game. So obviously seeing somebody that, didn't think that they were going to get drafted, and then they do get drafted because, of the work that they put in, or, that just seeing someone take the next step that they've earned through working their butt off in the gym is obviously that's pretty rewarding, right? To see somebody get to the next level. So yeah, I don't know. I guess those would be two of the bigger things for me. I think
those are good answers.
Rewarding. Yeah.
It'll be nice maybe like a year, 2 years down the road, you get to go see one of your guys play in Toronto, Chicago, like a place on the East Coast, and you get to go see him. That would be awesome.
I was thinking Vegas, but
or Vegas.
East Coast would be good.
You got any Vegas guys in your stable?
No, you know what? We don't, but these guys move around a lot, and, and we have a lot of younger guys, so guys that have potential to be drafted. So we'll see where things go. But
man, the NHL is so young.
Hopefully, I'm not too washed up at that point to be able to go and have a good time in Vegas still.
No, how old are you? 31?
Yeah, I just turned 31.
Oh, you're young. Grand scheme of things, you're young. Have you ever been to Vegas?
Yeah, I just went for my brother's bachelor party in November, so yeah, it wasn't a terrible time.
My buddy's getting married next year, and we're trying to figure out a place where to go. Well, we're stuck between Boston and Vegas.
Okay. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Actually, that's our three choices were Montreal, Boston, or Vegas.
Chose Vegas.
Well, yeah, I didn't think it was going to happen, and then I didn't think my brother was going to want to do it, and it worked out, and I would definitely do it again.
How many people did you go down with?
7.
See, that's
6
perfect.
or 7. Yeah, so I would recommend it. It's not too bad. Like the flights were, I think I paid $400 for a flight.
Round trip
and
from Halifax.
Yeah, and the hotel was not that expensive. Maybe like, I don't know, $100 per person per night.
Did you get like a group deal?
Yeah, not even really. I think like a little bit, but the flights we just all booked them at the same time.
$400, that's nothing.
Yeah, no, it was a great deal, and the only thing is when you get there, and you'll hear people say this, but you can spend a lot of money.
Well, I heard women spend no money, and then the guys just spend a shitload of money. Like to get into a club and stuff, you gotta like.
Yeah.
That's what I hear.
Especially if you suck at gambling, it can be pretty expensive.
Yeah, I suck. Are you good at it? I'm terrible.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't. Apparently not, because I lost a lot of money. But
did you?
Yeah.
I learned my lesson when I was younger. When I was like 19, I had an addiction, and I lost so much money. I was like, I'm not doing it again, and I never did it.
Yeah.
I learned from my lessons.
Good for you. Yeah.
But no, I want to get out to Vegas for sure.
Yeah.
I think I'm good, man. I got everything I wanted out of you. Unless you want to say something else, you want to give a plug for the business, want to say hi to friends, family, anything, feel free.
I guess just if you guys don't know anything about the gym, look us up. ProEdge Sports Conditioning. Our Instagram is at ProEdge Training. Same with our Twitter. We help. Obviously, we're still growing, and we would love to have more athletes of any sport out come in, and we also work with general population of people. So we have a lot of classes that are more, I guess, difference between our classes and our memberships would be just that. I guess we're taking more of a sports conditioning aspect, putting that into our classes where we have people moving around. So it's not a lot of, not a lot of machines and stationary work. We're doing a lot of the same things that the athletes are doing, just toned down a little bit, because really at the end of the day, everyone's an athlete. We just don't all train like that, but you should be, because if you want to be healthier and move better and live better, that's one of the best ways to do it. Because look at how athletes are living, and they're some of the healthiest people in the world. So that's kind of what we model our business off of. So definitely, if you guys have any questions about what I do or the gym itself, don't hesitate to ask.
Well said. Thank you for coming on the podcast, man. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
Always nice to talk to someone that knows a little bit about fitness and hangs around hockey guys. That's our market, so I think it worked out well.
Yeah, hopefully you'll get a chance to interview a couple more of them throughout the summer.
I hope so. We'll see before they head back.
Yeah, hopefully they say good things, eh?
Hopefully. All right, so everyone listening, once again, I appreciate you tuning into the High Button Podcast. If you could do me a solid, go to all of our social media outlets, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud. Like, comment, subscribe. I would truly appreciate that. Once again, I love each and every one of you, and we are out.